Hi, and welcome back to the continual series of the desecration of the Second Amendment here in Westchester County, New York. On November 19th, 2010, Braveheart reapplied for a home premises permit and was denied on March 28th, 2011 by Judge Gerald Loehr. The reasons that Judge Loehr gave for denying Braveheart his permit were as follows. Upon review of the aforementioned papers, it appears that the applicant held a valid pistol permit until November 16, 2007, when, after administrative proceeding and hearing pursuant to penal law, Judge Suan Cacace, Westchester County Court Judge, by decision and order entered November 16, 2007, revoked that license, finding that Mr. Braveheart's admitted conduct, which resulted in an arrest for aggravated harassment in the second degree, as well as the attitude he displayed to the court during the hearing, revealed that he lacks the judgment and character to possess a pistol permit in New York State. Of course, the judge is not going to say everything that's pertinent to this. He's going to say only the things that will work for him. It doesn't say here that Braveheart's was cleared and his conviction was dismissed. It doesn't say that here. And nowhere does it state in the transcript, which Braveheart paid $100 for, that he was out of line in any way. Never was he reprimanded during the hearings. And nowhere is anything negative mentioned about Braveheart in the transcript that he paid $100 for, which is available for anyone to view. He continues on to say, Braveheart reapplied for a New York State pistol license, which application came before the Honorable Jeffrey A. Cohen. Honorable is his word. I wouldn't use it. As a handgun licensing officer for the County of Westchester, by decision and order dated March 4th, 2009, the new application was denied, the court noting that nothing in Braveheart's application suggests that he now possesses the requisite judgment and character to hold the target and hunting license he previously held, let alone a full carry permit. You know, in the application, it asks for emails, it asks for home telephone numbers, cell phone numbers, all kinds of contact information, and these judges, before they're going to deny an applicant a permit, are required to notify said applicant that they intend on denying the permit. And they have to give the reasons so that the applicant has enough time and could rebut on the reasons why the judge is planning on denying the permit. But here in Westchester County, they don't do it. What the judges here in Westchester County do is they take that little whiteout and they white out the whole Second Amendment. There's a first, a third, but they don't recognize the second. It's invisible. It's been whited out. And we all know that, if you've seen the previous videos, that this all stems because Braveheart's arrest involved a secretary that worked for the sheriff's department that had nothing better to do than to send nude photos out to the public. If this hadn't been a sheriff department secretary, this never would have happened. But you see, talk about being vindictive. I mean, I have the highest respect for the law enforcement and the judicial system. However, there is corruption, there is favoritism, there is bias, and there is prejudice, without a doubt. And they got to protect their own, so they decided to make an example out of Braveheart, which is exactly what they're doing right now. Okay, let's continue on, if we may. Okay, then there's a little bit of legal jargon here that I'm not that familiar with, but I'll read it anyway. The doctrine of res judicata provides that the determination of an administrative officer should be given a binding effect by agencies and courts if the fact-finding process that led to the first determination was substantially similar to that used in a court of law. Clearly, that was the case here with the full hearing held before Cacace. The applicant now seeks to explain the original charges that led to the revocation of his license by Judge Cacace. While such evidence, if newly discovered, might be relevant in an application to vacate Judge Cacace's decision, such an application has not been brought, and the evidence has no relevance with respect to the instant proceeding unless and until Judge Cacace's decision is vacated. Applicant and this court are bound by it. Based thereon, Penal Law 400 is dispositive of this application. Subdivision 1.e therefore prohibits issuance of a postal license to a person who has had previous licenses for a pistol revoked. Braveheart's prior revocation was unchallenged and is final. First of all, I know attorneys that have names of people who've had their permits revoked and they were reinstated a few years later. Even the police department where Braveheart got arrested said that he can get his permit back after a couple of years. It's not a big deal that he can reapply and he'll get his permit back. But once again, this involved one of their own, so they had to make an example out of Braveheart, and they're going to do their best not to issue a new permit, even though we all know the McDonald case was victorious and it established that the states and local government cannot infringe on the Second Amendment and cannot stand in the way in obtaining a permit unless you have prior felonies or domestic violence misdemeanors or been institutionalized against your will. We all know this. And let's see here. Okay, and then he goes to continue on. He says, finally, whether this provision of Penal Law 400 comports with the recent holdings of the United States Supreme Court, once again, McDonald versus Chicago, having not been raised, is not before the court and will not be decided within this administrative proceeding. The application is denied. The foregoing constitutes the order of this court. Now, we all know that Braveheart could have appealed this under Article 78, but as we all know, it would have gone nowhere because judges stick with judges, and the likelihood of Cacace's decision being overturned would be probably 0.0001% because they don't go against the grain, especially with issues like this. And even though we could have provided a good case, and you should have heard my attorney speak and what he had to say about this whole issue. That's another matter altogether. But, you know, judges are supposed to be unbiased. They're supposed to be without favoritism. And they're not supposed to practice cronyism. You know, the term honorable is there for a reason. And I have the highest respect for the law and the judicial system, like I said earlier. However, there is corruption in the judicial system and the legal system, and police cannot be everywhere all the time. As good as they are, and as a valuable resource as they are to society, they're not, you know, they just can't be everywhere all the time. You know, it's just an impossibility, and we have to be able to protect our lives and the lives of our families. It's that simple. I like to get into the Department of Public Safety for a few minutes. They only give me 15 minutes here on YouTube. It used to be 10, now it's 15, so I get an extra 5 minutes. The Department of Public Safety's attitude is atrocious. First of all, their hours of operation for processing an application are from 9 to 12, Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, unless the hours have changed, are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And when Braveheart was serving jury duty, he stopped by there at least 6 to 8 times, and never, ever did he notice an applicant being processed. There were people coming in and out for amendments and submitting this and submitting that, but never was an application being processed during the times that he had stopped by in that office. And according to Sergeant Bruce Bellamont, Mondays are used exclusively, for the most part, for staff meetings. So you rule out Monday, so basically it's Tuesday and Wednesday, 9 to 12, and then Thursday and Friday from 9 to 4 p.m. So, and their mentality is this. And this is from the sergeant. This has come from the sergeant of that department. He goes, I may not process all the applications that come through here. However, he goes, I go over every application, and I sit here and I try and decide who should get a permit and who should not get a permit. How in God's name do you do that? By looking at a photo? And what do you do? What do you say? You say, oh, this guy looks like he should get a permit because he has a blue jacket, a white shirt, and a blue tie. And this guy shouldn't get it because, you know what, I see a tattoo on the bottom of his neck. He looks like a kind of seedy character, and he may be dangerous to society. The only thing that matters, in my opinion, and in the opinion of like 95% of the people in this country, is the paperwork that's submitted. It should be pass, fail, period. There should be no trying to decide who should have it. Let me see. Let me look at this picture a little bit more, you know. And they don't even call you up. As much contact information that you give them, they never call you up to elaborate on anything. These judges do not call you like they're supposed to when they intend on denying an application. And they won't grant you a sit down regarding the Second Amendment. They'll grant you a sit down on any other issue with the exception of the Second Amendment. This is the mentality that licensing officers in Westchester County have. And, you know, we as citizens, you know, we have to get together. You have to get involved. One person can't do it alone. We have to start rallies. We have to start petitions. I'd like to start a rally with Westchester County possibly 6 months to a year from now. And I'd like some feedback. If you're interested, please private message me and let me know if you're interested. We'll get permits and we'll have a big rally in front of the county. We'll get petitions signed, and let's change Westchester County. Let's change Westchester County. Get involved with the NRA, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. There's strength in numbers. We can overturn these issues. You know, we put these people into office, and we can get them out of office and put the right people in. These people, because they're sitting on the benches there, and they're collecting full pensions and working at the same time, they think that they're immune to the law because they're on the bench. Look. How would you address the judge? This is getting a little off topic, but how would you address a judge that puts Brian Atkin from New Jersey in jail for 7 years for possession of firearms when everything he did was legal? And the only thing that happens to that judge is he doesn't get reappointed. He destroyed an innocent person's life, and the only reprimand that he got was he was not reappointed. Can you imagine that? Brian Atkin had no history, no mental history, no criminal history, no history whatsoever. His guns were bought legally, transported legally. He contacted the state police, yet they threw him in jail for 7 years. I called up the governor's office, as did many people, saying that what this judge did was atrocious. He didn't allow evidence into the court that would have vindicated or exonerated Brian Atkin. And he's had a history of doing wrongdoings in the past, this particular judge. I don't know his name offhand, but I'm sure you should be aware of what happened in New Jersey. It was just recently, and the Honorable Governor Christie, you know, let him out of prison before, you know, Christmas to be with his family, and it was basically time served. But it didn't. He didn't vacate that decision, and he didn't pardon him as of yet. But that's what happened. And the NRA is going to have an annual meeting in Pittsburgh. I would highly recommend, if anybody out there cares about the Second Amendment at all, to attend the meeting. It's once a year. This year it's in Pittsburgh at the end of the month in April. And get involved. Get involved. If you want change, you have to get involved. Call your reps like I do. Make phone calls. And like I said, if you're interested, private message me, and let's get a rally going, and let's get a petition going, and let's change Westchester. God bless.